intro music? Yeah! Woohoo!
Hey everybody, I'm Rev, and I went to level 52 in one day from 50, and I want to talk about that experience. What all changed, what has been maybe the unpredictable part of it or the predictable part of it, and go through all different things of how I'm able to do it, manage, and whether or not anything has changed for me personally. And I think number one, worth going over is, okay, what was the cost of upgrading? How were you able to do it all in one go? And the simple answer is the 5 Ps. Prior planning prevents poor performance. I knew exactly what I was doing in terms of like going through plans, and thanks to tools like Spoxclub, I knew exactly what I would need. In fact, I'll throw up a little bit of a screenshot there so you can see where I was at previously and kind of what I worked on to get to where I was at now. And now being at 52, the reason I jumped to 52 was for 2 reasons. Number one, you don't need any 5-star uncommon to really make that type of move. You do need 5-star uncommon to get your level 52 Shipyard built, but that's okay because I planned for that as well. If you remember back, I made a video called the 40 plus checklist, the 49 checklist of like, what do you want to look for going into the 50s? And one of the things I talked about is saving things like your 30-day chest to make that happen. And I did that. The 30-day chests were part of how I was able to get 5-star before everybody else. Just truthfully, that's how. And also at level 50, your daily events will start paying out some 5-star, little trickles. And now thanks to 7A and 30 chests, I was able to get more. But there's more than just that. And knowing where to get materials is such a key part of it. For example, as soon as you go into 51 plus, your Bajoran faction changes. And when those reset, you're going to be able to immediately full pull those, because immediately full pulling those results in uncommon, even though that's a very terrible pull. Should be worth noting though, that as you level up, you're going to need lots of these commons, so never look down on getting the common pulls as an early G5 player. It's very, very important because there's a lot of commons and the cost is chef's kiss. As in, if you're Scopely, you're so happy. Just wait. It's not as bad as Sigma and it's better than it used to be, but getting commons is very expensive. You'll notice at the very top, I'm down to 2 million Latinum. I was over 4 million Latinum, but in my video, I said you probably want to have at least 2 million Latinum before you start making that push. Let me go to this other material claim before I forget. And a big thing for me was making sure I could full pull these to get as much of these as I can. And that allowed me to build my Nova. Now, many of you might go, Rev, why the heck did you care about building a Nova? Like you hate mining. And you would be correct. I do. But guess what? The game doesn't care what I like. The game does things that say, well, you got to mine now. So guess what? My Nova's on a node. And my Nova is not high tier. I took my Nova literally tier 1, level 1, built it. That's it. And the only thing I did was upgrade the warp range and the cargo bay. That's all. So it's currently sitting at a warp range of 278 and a cargo of 18, but more importantly, protected of about 244. And the reason I haven't updated it more is because it wants so much common, it's quite expensive. But that's okay. The main reason is, why did Rev build a Nova? And why does Rev tell people to get a Nova? To make sure that when you start, you can start working on a brand new loop. I know you were excited about a new loop. I knew you wanted to hear about it. A loop you might not have been aware of is the intelligence loop. And there are 2 different event types for this loop. Event type number 1 is Pinnacle of Power material mining. This allows you to mine to get intelligence. Now, you don't need to mine a lot. You can actually do this pretty easily, and you don't necessarily need a Nova to do it. But since I'm already going to be pulling G5 material so that I can start getting all those commons that I need, it made sense to go ahead and pick that up. Your second one is Pinnacle of Power Hostile Hunt. So the hostile hunting, well, that's something I do already. I wasn't worried about that one. The mining was something that I knew was upcoming, so now I can pull intelligence. For those curious, let me show you what the intelligence is all about. Not that I have a lot of it. I got a lot of lame dad jokes, okay? I got energy, deal with it. So if you go into any of your factions, you're going to scroll down as you get into G5 and notice, well, section 31 intelligence. No, not that section 31, another section 31. Here you go. Okay, well, what would I need this for? Well, if you come over into some of the newer researches in your research trees, you're going to find they start taking intel, and specific intel for specific factions. So obviously, y'all have seen me go through a lot of research here lately, try to clean out some of this, and a lot of this is old 4-star stuff. But at the end of most trees, you start getting into 5-star stuff, and some of the 5-star stuff take different things. For example, cosmic particles. Use this through G5 research, or obtain that through G5 research. Then you've also got your conversion costs for cosmic particles. You definitely want to do that. If you come over into, say, your galaxy tree, you're also going to have different 5-star things at the very end that you want to start working on. And that takes rhodinium. That was another one that you can start getting in the 40s in the combat tree. Scroll all the way over, get it to your 5-star area, and what do you find? Intelligence. So now you use intelligence to go through your combat tree, use rhodinium to go through your galaxy tree, and then you need those cosmic particles to get through your station tree for a lot of the newer research. So as you're going to progress, you see Romulans right here. Then we've got my Klingons right there. Increases base shield mitigation for the first 2 rounds of combat. That takes my red ones, and you're going to need those to progress through. But there are other researches that don't necessarily need that, but they will need a lot of those commons. And when I say the commons are expensive, the commons are expensive. So the big early portion of this was planning and understanding a lot of the hurdles that were going to be upcoming, like knowing that there was a new loop coming that I had to prepare for. Hence why I went after the Nova. And I had all these ships ready before I even went into G5. I had the ships prepared. And then I also did something to take it a step further in terms of preparation. You see my shipyard level, I've already got my Nova built, but you still have got 3 ready to be built that I haven't touched yet at the very end right here with the Northcut, the Vorcha, and the Corvus. Now the Vorcha is going to be my baby because I just love the Klingons. It's iconic. I literally have a small Lego version of this here. I love the Klingon stuff, not to mention the literal D7 that y'all saw I built last week on the Twitch platform. If y'all haven't joined Twitch, feel free to join it. It's fun. It's fun. All right. So backing out, what else have I done? Well, I've saved up so I can get a free treasury this month that's going to give me the 5-star uncommon I need to finally start pushing levels. Because to get there, you got to get to level 53 and you need Shipyard 53. To do that, you got to do all these different things, like all these vaults and all these. And oh, looky there, you start needing materials, specifically commons. So this becomes a big part of your game. Be planning into G5 to make it into an experience that isn't problematic. You want to do some of these. Now, it also helped that I took the time, personal opinion, to build up my Pylum and my Tribune. Why was that important? Because now I have different things that I have to do. And the freebooters have stayed the same. This big hunky beast has been able to take down the freebooters at level 60 for a while. I mean, it's based as soon as I built it. But one loot that did immediately change, that was integral for me to continue my, my normal excellence, if you will, was being able to take on these hostiles right here. So your silent hostiles immediately change. Going into now a set that you no longer need. Before you were getting these 4-star rare particles, and now you need 5-star uncommon. It's a completely different set. All your old ones no longer matter because now you got to go farm these guys. And because I built the Tribune up, the Tribune is able to farm these significantly better than the Pylum does. So I didn't lose a beat here. And I'm able to come in and get these now uncommon temporal disruptor parts for 5-star. Now my rares or my 4-star just kind of sit and wither away. But that's just the nature of Starship Fleet Command. Currencies die and they go to sit in inventory purgatory for the rest of their lives. Shout out to all the currencies. Shout out. We miss you. All these. You're so wonderful. Some of them are still used, but many of them are, goners. So all this was helping prepare me for what was going to be a pretty significant jump in difficulty. But now I'm able to handle silence or no problem. Gorn, no problem. Because I went through the updates. Now keep in mind, your refineries also go through changes as well. My Monavine, my automated shipyard now pays out G5. But keep in mind, there are perils and tribulations for going into G5. Number one was, why did I take my Tribune, my Pylum, etc. so high when I was going into G5? Because being able to level them now in G4 is significantly more difficult because things stop paying out ship parts. The only way I can get 4-star ship parts now are thanks to my USS Voyager. That's basically it. Because if you go look, for example, in your events, way less 4-star ship parts. I mean, if you just go into basic things, even Crucible of War probably will show them, and check my SMS. It's not going to pay out any ship parts, but take it from me, your ship parts start to shrivel up. And every other G5 in the chat can, they can comment down below and confirm. Your G4 ship parts shrivel away as you go into G5. That's something that you have to be mindful of if you're going to press up. So if I go into my factions, one of the other ways that I got most of my G4 parts was the Bajoran faction. But if you look at the rare loot exchange, now it's all 5-star, right? Look at the uncommon loot exchange. It's all 5-star. It wasn't like an intermingling or a mix. It was bam, swap on over. And that's part of going into the G5 economy. It changes the style of how you've been playing. It's now saying you need a 53. You better go get one. Because I built at 49 and 50, I don't have to worry about that as much. Am I going to get a 53? Obviously, you just saw all 3 of them. There's no way I'm not getting a 53. I'm getting all of them. They're like Pokemon. I must collect them all. But I was able to manage this and not miss a beat in any loop. There's no loop that has changed for me at all. I'm still able to progress. There's still things that I've held back. Example, my mirror universe, I have not leveled up the refinery. I've kept it right where it's at, and I won't level up my refinery until probably level 53. Once I get more established and I can farm more easily in the deeper parts of mirror universe. But for now, even with the 130 million power Tribune, I'm sticking to Mirror Babel for my raw A and Mirror Morska for my raw D, and I'm not taking it any further until I can easily handle the deeper systems because it's a massive jump. So everything that I was able to do in a single day all came down to a couple of months of planning. Now, I'm not saying you have to play like that. Play however is fun to you. For me, it was a lot of fun to be able to build this and then come into the G5 and really feel like nothing's changed except I'm just doing better. And I had similar sentiments from other players on my server who we've been doing this at kind of the same time. And I'd throw them on the screen. People like Witch and Fred, you know, the people that you even seen interacting in the streams in a similar spot. That planning has prevented us being able to experience some of the downfalls that others have. And some of the easy keys were just having the Latinum available. That's why I preach so often to make sure you're doing the away teams that pay out Latinum. Like these 2 that just spawned, guess what? We're doing them. You got to. It's not even a debate. You need to get yourself out there and start doing anything that pays out Latinum. Everything that pays out Latinum becomes even more valuable because, again, the cost to go from a common to Latinum is ridiculously expensive. You're talking about being used to be a 10-to-1 ratio, and they did lower that, but it's still much higher than what you're used to in 4-star. So Latinum and speed ups become even more valuable. You might want to pay attention to those notes. But I went to 52. Here I am now. You'll see me at 53 in the month of August, and then I'll be 53 for a while as I build up my ships and continue through the loops. But if you have specific questions about going through this process and maybe how I plan for it, if I didn't mention something that you're curious about, drop it down in the comment section below. I'm more than happy to answer. And last but not least, like the video, greatly appreciated. Any of you considering going into the 50s from where I was at in the late 40s, I'm more than happy to help you out. And you players looking to go into the 40s, free to come to me for your questions as well. And if you're going into the 30s, come to me as well. And yeah, I actually was talking to players about going into the 60s and the valid, or the drawbacks and the pros and cons of either staying at 60 or going to 61 to just build the Sigma generators and sit, or do you push from 61 and just go full on into the 60 plus lifestyle? We'll discuss that in another video though. Live long and plunder. Stay safe for those Space Cowboys. Deuces. That's me. Catch you on the next Star Trek League Man video. I'm out. Appreciate you. Love you. See you on the next one.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.